Hello everyone, welcome to Code Language. In this video, we're going to be doing a little JavaScript exercise. It's not, I don't want to call it a project, it's more like a challenge, all right? A little bit of a challenge. This video is mainly for those of you who are at beginner level in JavaScript. All right, so it's always a good thing that whenever you learn anything, try to apply it in different ways. Okay, that's a really good way to learn. Don't just memorize code, but you want to apply it in different ways. Okay, so in this video, we're gonna be applying the conditional coding for JavaScript. So we're gonna be using if else, the else coding. All right. So here is a situation where we're just gonna create a little bit of a scenario and try to solve. We're gonna create a problem and then we'll solve it. So let's assume that now, if you have not yet, before I go any further, if you do not know how the if else work, you probably would not be able to follow along with this challenge. So try to get a good understanding of the if else. All right. So let's follow along. We're gonna create a situation where we have a problem and then we will solve the problem. Okay, so let's say a professor in your school contacted you and told you that, hey, I need a way to grade my students. All right, I want you to write some code for me, some JavaScript code, so that whenever I check I want this JavaScript code to check for the student's grade and then send them a specific text message or send them a specific message. So let's say the professor approached you and asked you to write a JavaScript code, right, to just check for the grade. So we're gonna try to write this code and then see how it works, right? So I think the first thing I would want to ask the professor is, how do you grade your students, right? So the professor, to make it easy for you, the professor just sends you an email, right? And in the email it has this right in here, and the professor say, hey, this is how I grade my students, right? Anybody who scores between 90 and 100, I usually give them an A. Anybody who scores between 80 and 89, I give them a B. Anybody who scores between 70 and 79, I give them a C. Those who score between 60 and 69, I give them a D. Those who score between 50 and 59, I give them an E. And then anything below 50, they get an F. All right. So with this information, we can now go and write a JavaScript code that will simulate what we're seeing here. All right, and will actually render the message that the professor wants, right? So let's go to our Visual Studio Code now. For those of you who do not know what Visual Studio Code is, if you're starting out with coding, I highly recommend that you get one, or you can download one. Actually, you don't have to buy it. You can download it and use that for coding. All right, it has a lot of amazing features that will make your coding a lot easier. All right, so let's use our Visual Studio Code to try to solve this problem. We're going to code a JavaScript, we're going to write a JavaScript code that will help solve, this problem that the professor has. All right. So the JavaScript will check the student's grade and then it will print the right message based on the student's grade, right? Okay. So I already have my file saved in .js, so we're gonna go ahead and write it, and then we'll run the code, and then the result will show up underneath here. All right. So let's start off. We're gonna start off by declaring a variable, and we're gonna say something like let student score be, and let's just set it to maybe 0 for now. All right. Okay, and then let's create another variable, maybe student name, something like that, student name. All right, and let's call the student let's say Veronica. All right, okay, and then we're going to write our first if statement. So we're going to say if the student score. Now you see why I tell you to use Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code detected the variable and is trying to help me, suggest that to me. All right, so instead of typing it out, I could just go ahead and click the variable. That makes it easy for me. So I'm going to say that if the score is greater or equal to 90, okay, if that's the case, then I want you to console log a message to the student. All right, so I'm going to say something like congratulations, and let's put the name of the student, which is I'm going to put the variable name right here. So this is going to print the student's name. Congratulations, Veronica, which will be the student's name. You scored, and I want to show the score that the student had. I want to show that student's their score. So I'm going to say student score right here. Okay, you scored this. I'm showing them their score, and then I'll say you got an A, right? Something like that on this test, right? And let's say something like no need. Oh, let me just leave it like that, right? Yeah, just leave it like that. Okay, so this is the first if statement. So we're saying that if the score is greater or equal to 90, then we want this to print out. Okay, so let's go ahead and run this code to see how it looks like. Let me add a comma here. So let's assume that Veronica scored 93 on this test. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and run the code, and right here you can see over here it says congratulations Veronica, you scored 93, right? You got an A on this test. Okay, so we're not done yet. Okay, this is just for the case of a student who scores 90 or more, right? Let's say if she scored 90, pretty much the same thing. Let me go ahead and clear this one out. If she scored 90, she will still get an A, right? Because that's what the condition says. It meets this condition. All right. So we're gonna now write, I'm gonna clear this one out. We're gonna now write else if statement for other students who score below 90, in the 70s and other grades. All right, so, and remember that we're trying to follow this pattern that the professor gave us, right? Professor wants to use this as his grade structure, right? So we want to follow that. So the next one is we want to write for those that fall in the B grade category, right, which would be 80 to 89. Okay, so to do that, we're gonna say else if student score is greater or equal to 80 and student score is less than 90, then we want to console. Let me just go ahead and copy this right here, paste that right here. So we want to console, we want to say congratulations to the student, and then we want to display their score, and then we want to say they got a B, right, because they fall within that category. Okay, so if their score is greater or equal to 80, and these two conditions have to be true, okay, because we want students who fall within this condition. Okay, so their score cannot be greater than 90 here. Okay, it has to be less than 90, but it has to be greater or equal to 80. Okay, so in this case, let's say Veronica scored 87, right? So if we go ahead and print this out, the first condition is not true because Veronica's grade is below 90, right? So the first string will not print, right? So it appears Veronica's grade matches this condition here because it's 87, it is greater than 80, and it's less than 90. So let's go ahead and run it, and you can see right here it says congratulations Veronica, you scored 87, you got a B. Okay, so we want to go ahead and run and write another if statement. Okay, and this time around we're gonna remember we're following the structure the professor gave us. We're writing an if statement for those students whose grade fall between 70 and 79. Okay, so we're gonna say something like else if student score. Okay, so we're gonna say something like else if student score is greater than or equal to 70. Like to leave a little space in here, and student score okay, and student score is less than 80, then I want you to console log. Okay, I want you to say maybe we shouldn't say congratulations, right? I don't know. Should we say congratulations for a C or not? We're just gonna say hi student, or hi Veronica, something like that, right? Hi Veronica. Let me change this one. Oh, wait, that's a C rather. We were doing it for a C. So if this condition is true, then we're gonna say hi Veronica, you scored. We give her score, and then we say you got a C on this test. Right? So let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's write. Let's just keep going for now. Let's say else if student score is greater than or equal to 60, and student score is less than 70, then console log. I'm also gonna say here like, hi first name, hi Veronica, and give her score and tell her she got a D because her grade matches with this condition. All right, oops, let's see what's going on here. We're having an error, so I need to figure out where the error is coming from. This is the open close, open close, open close, open close, then this should not. Open close. It's telling us we have an error. I need to figure out where that error. Okay, I see where it is. All right, there it is. There we go. Okay, this is why it's so good to use Visual Studio Code. All right, because when you miss something, when you make an error, it will auto correct you as you code. All right, this is super important because one of the problems with coding is sometimes you have to debug your code. You know, that's one of the most painful things to do. But if you're being auto corrected as you code, then the chances of you coming back to debug your code, you know, it's almost non-existent, you know, because you are fixing the problem as you go. You see what I mean? So I highly recommend you use Visual Studio Code, you know, or if there is anything out there similar to it, I highly recommend, you know, especially for beginners. All right, so we're gonna write just a few more else ifs so that we make sure that we've covered all the students grade categories. All right, so this one here is gonna be for those in the 50 category. Let's see here, and student score, say 60 right here. So here we're saying that else if the student score is greater than or equal to 50 and the student score is less than 60. If that's the case, then we want to console log. We want to say here again, hi first name, you scored that, and then we want to give them the E. Okay, and then after this we only have those that fall outside, you know, those who score from 0, those students who score from starts from 0 to 49, right? So what we want to do is we just want to say we're just gonna print out anybody who fall in that category, right? So we want to say, of course, we don't want to congratulate them. We want to say, hi, you scored this and your grade is F. Okay, so these conditions cover, we have A, B, C, D, E, F right here. All right, so let's go ahead and test this code out. Let me clear the console here. Let's go ahead and test this code out. All right, so let's say that Veronica performed very, very poorly, like almost like she didn't study at all. And let's say she scored 20, right? So if that happens, Veronica does not meet any of these conditions. She didn't even score 50. So she's gonna get an F, right? She falls right in the else condition. So let's run the code and see what happens. And as you can see, Veronica scored an F. It's showing that she scored an F right here. Okay, so let's assume Veronica went back to study, and this time she improved her grade, and now she scored, let's say, 59, right? So as you can see, Veronica is now out of this condition, and she sort of entered right here in the E category, right? Because her score is greater than 50 right here, and it's also less than 60. So she should be getting an E and a message telling her she got an E, right? So let's run the code. Let me clear the console and then run the code one more time. And as you can see, it's saying here, Veronica, you scored 59, you got an E. Okay, so let's say Veronica is improving the next exam. Let's say she got a 73, something like that, right? 73. So where will she fall? 73. She should fall in the C category, right? 73, she should get a C. Okay, so if we run the code, as we can see, she fits this condition right here. Okay, her score is greater than 70 and is less than 80, so she should be getting a C. So we're gonna go ahead and check and see. Let me clear this one and check, and that's it right there. 73, she got a C, right? So let's see a scenario where Veronica got 80. Okay, let's test with the 80. Let's see what happens. So if Veronica gets 80, professor wants us to give her a B in the JavaScript. Okay, because he said 80 to 89 should be a B. So let's go ahead and see what the script will do. So let's say Veronica has now improved her grade. She got an 80, so she should be getting a B if we run the code. And let's see right here, I just changed her score to 80, and let's see right here, and right there Veronica got a B. Okay, so this is a nice way to apply your knowledge if you've done if-else conditions. This is a nice way to apply your knowledge. You could use if-else for a lot. All right, so this is one of the ways. I think if you present this to the professor, he's gonna be pretty happy, right? Because all that needs to change is right up here, right? And then it will output what grade the student deserved, right? So right here again, we did it for 79, and you could see right here it's showing the student got a C. So you make the professor's work pretty easy, right? The system will just check for their grade, or their grades will be sent to your JavaScript system, and then the message will be output. The message will output to the student, right? So that's pretty cool. All right. So if you like this video, guys, like and subscribe to my channel. I'm gonna be putting out a lot more videos like this. Again, guys, whenever you learn something, try to apply. Okay, try to create a scenario where you can apply what you've learned. Don't just memorize and forget about it. If you do that, you will if you just memorize, it won't take long, you'll forget everything. But when you apply it to scenarios, to situations, then you become very good at it, and you can easily remember. Okay, all right, thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.